On March 27, 2014, the world moved one step closer to victory in its fight to eradicate polio when the World Health Organization declared the nation of India to be polio-free. It has now been 3 full years since India has reported a single case of the disease. The last known case of polio in the country occurred in January 2011 when a 2-year-old girl contracted the disease. The nation of India has reason to celebrate. What is polio? Polio is a contagious viral illness that in its most severe form can lead to paralysis and even death. Children under the age of 5 are most susceptible to polio, which is often spread through contaminated water supplies and unsanitary living conditions. The disease invades the nervous system and can cause paralysis within a matter of hours. Unfortunately, there is no cure for polio. However, the debilitating disease can be prevented through a vaccine that is delivered in multiple doses. Historically, polio is responsible for millions of deaths worldwide. In the United States, the disease was eradicated in 1979, but it has taken much longer to destroy in other countries, such as India. Prior to the mid-1980s, the Indian Academy of Pediatrics estimated that there were over 200,000 cases of polio annually. In fact, until 2009, the country of 1.2 billion people accounted for more than half of the global polio cases. Due to a variety of factors, such as high population density, poverty, unsanitary living conditions, and skepticism among certain segments of the population concerning vaccinations, many experts did not believe polio could be eradicated in India. The doubters were proven wrong. India, in addition to other nations, benefited from the launch of the Global Polio Eradication Initiative. This worldwide initiative, which began in the late 1980s, involved national governments, the World Health Organization, Rotary International, the United States Center for Disease Control and Prevention, UNICEF, and a few prominent foundations, such as the one founded by Bill and Melinda Gates. Because there is no cure for polio, the only way the disease could be eradicated in India was to make sure that the country's population, especially the children, received the polio vaccination. The obstacles mentioned earlier, however, made this a very difficult task. How would the government and other concerned organizations acquire enough doses of the vaccine? Who would help administer the vaccines to so many people scattered throughout this large country? How would the vaccine remain effective when it requires refrigeration and yet so many parts of the country live without regular electricity? Finally, how would the government and other concerned organizations convince Indians skeptical of the vaccine to actually receive it? These were just some of the questions that had to be addressed in order to be successful at ridding the country of such horrible disease. Fortunately for the people of India, the cooperating partners were able to design a strategy to answer these difficult questions and overcome the obstacles in their path. The multifaceted strategy included a mass media campaign to get the word out to every part of the country about the potentially life-saving vaccine, acquiring funding for collecting and dispersing the vaccine, involvement of key religious leaders to convince skeptical segments of the population of the safety and benefits of the vaccine, coming up with creative ways of storing the vaccine, and mobilization of millions of local health department officials, community volunteers, religious leaders, surveillance medical officers, and parents to ensure that the vaccinations were administered throughout the nation. As of today, polio has been eliminated in all but 3 countries: Afghanistan, Nigeria, and Pakistan. This does not mean that the horrific disease cannot return. Continued efforts need to be made to ensure that children in India and throughout the world receive potentially life-saving vaccinations. But for now, we rejoice with India that they have succeeded in eradicating this terrible disease.